So, Nelson, welcome to the Great Talks. You failed across multiple business models before finding traction. What identity did those failures slowly breaks inside you?
Break, did you say?
Yep.
I would say they broke a lot of things. A lot of personal biases was probably one of them. Um, Definitely in the earlier stages when I was younger, I was a lot dumber, and I made a lot of mistakes. But it was sort of accepting that though I failed, I still succeeded in a way because I've gained a lot of experience. And after each failure, it was obviously very draining. However, after each one, I could feel myself. I got smarter. So, yeah, I would say, just it was very draining. That was the main thing. Just lack of energy. I'd have periods sometimes where maybe for a couple months I was just completely demotivated. Till eventually I realized, like, okay, cool. I feel like this, but I still have to make money. I still have to, succeed. Ultimately, doesn't really matter really what's broken. It just has to work. So.
Perfect, man. How old are you?
I'm 17.
17 years old. And
I am, yeah.
you tried a lot of businesses, man.
I have. I started when I was about 13. So, yeah, or probably 12. But
That's great, man. At what point did you realize you weren't failing because of bad luck, but because of missing foundation?
that would probably be around a year ago. So, before that, it was almost like I was treating business like it was all happening to me, right? So, something would go wrong and it's not my fault. So, it'd be like, oh no, this happened. It went wrong. It didn't work. Not my fault. But probably around a year ago, I just remember a conversation I was having, where I wasn't in the conversation. I was listening to a conversation, and there was these two business owners. One of them was a business owner. The other one was a sales guy, I believe. But they were talking, and I realized I didn't understand a thing that they were saying. They're talking about all these like metrics and all these things, all these like abbreviations and stuff, and I had no clue. So I sort of realized around then, I was like, hold up a second. I'm missing knowledge. I'm really behind. So what I did is, like I think I sent in a message, I took a period of time away from trying to start up businesses, and I just learnt as much information as possible. So I went into a lot of different topics. It wasn't strictly business. A lot of it was history and financial history as well, specifically, and studying sort of more economics basics as well. But I certainly believe that it's very difficult to make any money if you don't even know what it is. So you don't understand how it works, why it even exists, like if you go back, you track it back, you look at how trade used to work and why we even have currency. So I was super clueless. I didn't even know what the gold standard was. I didn't know anything. So certainly as I started to learn more, which was roughly around a year ago, I was dedicating more time. I was understanding more and more and more about how little I knew, how dumb I was, and also how much I had to learn and how much I had to change.
Perfect, man. From the outside, your journey looks inconsistent. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the outside, your journey looks inconsistent. From the inside, what was really helping psychologically?
Probably like my delusion, because it doesn't make much sense to just keep failing and to keep failing and to keep failing. And certainly I've had this weird sort of obsessiveness since I was very young. And when I was younger, if I wanted something, I would literally talk about it for weeks. Like actually, when I was 10 years old, I built my first computer, and I spent roughly a year and a half non-stop convincing my mother that I could build the computer. And eventually she's like, okay, please shut up. I'll buy you the parts. You can build the computer. So anyway, she buys me the parts. I have all the money that I saved as well. And it ends up working and it works perfectly. But it's certainly been sort of this obsessive trait, which doesn't make much sense because it's not very logical. And, I probably should have quit a long time ago. Which has been with me since I was very young. And that's what's allowed me to sort of brute force through so much failure and so much pain. But it's also what helps me with everything I do. So I train quite a few times a week, and I'm doing a lot of martial arts. And martial arts is very humbling. So you realize very quickly that there are layers to this. There's a hierarchy where you've got the newcomers, you've got the beginners. They're just they're down here, and you've got the people who are intermediate, and you've got the advanced people, and you've got the super advanced people. And I'm fortunate enough at my gym to have all sorts of ranges. My coach is a European champion. So being able to train with all these people, you will realize that just similar to the world, that you're very inexperienced and you really haven't come very far since you started. So it helps you understand there's a lot of work to do. So that fundamental principle, every failure has definitely helped me, because there isn't a reality where I can accept myself being a loser. I really can't, because it plays on repeat in my head. It's like, you could do better, you could do this, you've got all this potential, sat here doing nothing. So that's what's allowed me to get through that.
Perfect, man. What was the emotional cost of trying so many things and seeing none of them truly works?
Very high. So one of the main reasons why I decided to step away and spend some time learning is also because I not only realized that I didn't know enough, but I was also a bit fed up. This is when I decided to go to college as well, because I thought that going to college was a business course. I thought that would be useful for me, and I would be able to sort of hand in hand self-learn and also go to college. I didn't last very long, because I realized that the college I was at wasn't what I thought it was. And, there were all sorts of things going wrong. There was a student that got stabbed, and, they were bleeding everywhere, and they had to evacuate the whole college. It's not nice. Essentially, that's your average rundown druggy city in the UK. So I realized that really wasn't the place I wanted to be, and it provided very little utility to me. So I ultimately ended up dropping out, and that was probably about a month or two ago. And ever since then, I've just been refocused purely on running and starting a business.
Perfect, man. When did you stop chasing money and start chasing competence? Do you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do. I get it for sure. Yeah, that would be pretty recently, to be honest, because I remember I think about half a year ago, I signed a client for, 1,000, 2,000, I don't know, whatever it was. And I just remember I was just not really thinking about the service delivery. I was just thinking about getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem was I actually delivered a shit service and I ended up refunding him because I felt terrible. But that was sort of, I think, when I was like, okay, I really need to focus on having a really good product, because it's all well and good being able to sign clients, but if you can't actually give something useful, but you're just really good at convincing, well, then it's pretty useless. You're not a business. So, yeah.
Perfect. Looking back, what patterns connects all your early failures?
Probably being completely uninformed. So I'm in a sort of situation where no one told me what a contract was. So I had to figure all these things out, and that was certainly the problem. So that's why I've dedicated that time I'm still dedicating the time to just keep learning as much as possible, because that has been the common pattern. I've got overwhelmed because I didn't know what I needed to do or why I needed to do it. I had no sense. There was no sense of this is the right thing to do, this is the wrong thing to do. It was kind of like yeah, just make money. And then there was no thought behind it. And that's probably one of the consistent reasons as to why I've had either diminishing returns or inconsistent results that haven't led on to a continuously functioning business. I would say probably the reason.
Perfect, man. Is English your first language?
It is. I don't speak any other languages actually,
It's my
but
third
I'm
language.
thinking about. Huh?
It's my third language. That's why I'm trying to improve it.
Yeah. What languages do you speak?
I have Marathi is my mother tongue, and the national language Hindi, Indian, and third I'm
Mhm.
improving in English.
Oh, so are you studying those?
Just no, I don't study in English. I just trying to improving now because I want to go globally. So I need to make podcast in English. So that's why I'm trying to improve.
Yeah. Awesome.
Be,
Pretty cool.
uh, Before 2 3 months I could not speak like this. I'm like
Yeah.
very new in English. So just I'm trying to improve. It take times, but yeah, one day it will be good.
I mean, you've already got to a point where I would say you could talk to people and they'd understand you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Perfect, man. How much of your early ambitions was driven by ego versus curiosity?
Yeah, probably quite a few of them, to be honest. Definitely the previous business I did run, it was a cold email agency. LinkedIn outreach agency, sort of cross. We're doing both. And I couldn't care less about email. That's fine. I really didn't. I didn't care about anything to do with it. I just wanted the reply rates so that I could say I would get my clients this many clients so that they would pay me. So I would say if it's not for the sake of helping them, which it really wasn't, it was just for the sake of money. That's kind of ego because I know it's just benefiting me. But yeah, I'd say certainly now I'm a lot more. I want to actually help people. That's my inclination now. But I obviously want to make money too. But you previously, before I would start a business or even think about it, I'd open the calculator and start running all of the number combinations to see all of the possibilities, and then obviously do none of them because that's how it works. And yeah, so it was certainly just attached to sort of like worshipping money instead of the products and making it as good as possible.
Perfect, man. Did repeated failure makes you more disciplined or more emotional noob?
I think it's the best thing that can possibly happen to you, honestly. Like, it's going to be quite difficult because I plan on having quite substantial amounts of money when I have children. But certainly with my children, it depends, if they're my son or they're my daughter. But if they're my sons, I definitely want them to suffer a lot. I want them to go through the same pain I've been through because that builds a lot of character.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that's what defines you. That's how you figure out who you are.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I want to see, yeah. So I'd say the failures, the repetitive failures, though they've been really, really annoying, I would say they're actually probably some of the most important things that have ever happened to me.
Perfect. What did failure teach you about yourself that success never could?
Failure taught me that I was incompetent, which I don't know. I see a lot of stuff online, which is where there's a lot of positivity about people's incompetence, or like, oh, it's okay, don't worry. But truthfully, when things would go wrong, I would say it sort of got to a point where I was realizing, like I said, that I'm the problem, and the only place that you can really realize that is through failure and just sucking. And yeah, certainly I just remember many times where I would be on the bench press or something and just doing like when I first started going to the gym, before I had started properly training, my bench press was like 30 kilograms. And I don't know if you lift weights, but you will know that you'll know the 30 kilograms is,
yeah,
it's not good.
Yeah.
I was looking at that.
I never tried 30. My
Yeah,
last
I
was
mean, I
20.
think you should do it. You should do it. Not too hard. But for me, it was very reality checking because I had my friend next to me who was, the same age. Actually, he was a bit younger than me, and he was doing substantially more weight, which was sort of like, I was like, oh shit, I have no excuse. So that led me to, just like, I feel like the failure in itself and just the incompetence, it sort of flips a switch in you where you just go into like this dark mode where you just don't give a shit about what anyone else says, and you just solely focus and you just lock in on yourself and you make a lot of progress. It's like a vacuum, and then you kind of like forget about it as well, which is cool. Yeah, that's what failure has definitely taught me.
At your lowest point, what story were you are telling yourself about your future?
At my lowest points, yeah, I'm probably saying something along the lines of, this is pathetic. Um, you need to get to, this high level. Like I have a goal in my head that hasn't changed really. It's like if this is the goal that I need to reach, I'm just reminding myself in my lowest points of that goal. And I am sort of negative. It's mostly like, I wouldn't say it's negative talk, it's like realistic talk. Because it's not like, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, poor me, or oh, I'm so pathetic, and then just sit there. I'm the kind of sort of person who's like, okay, I'm actually pathetic. Look at this person. I'm pathetic. I need to get there. Let's do that. So then, tomorrow I actually do something to work towards that. But that's what I do in my lowest points.
Perfect, man. How do young founders confuse activity with progress?
Hmm. Yeah, that's really, really a very common thing, and I used to have that so like really bad. So I'd say that the way that it's done is it's sort of like this obsession with, oh, I worked 15 hours today, or I look at me on my laptop in the car while I'm driving, drinking coffee. It's like, no, it's stupid. No one cares, to be honest. It's got nothing to do with your work quality. Somebody could work 4 hours a day, and if they're actually intelligent and they do good work, they will have a product that is a million times, like actually a million times better than the other person that is just like busy work. They're just typing keys on their computer, right? They're saying they're working, but they're just sat in a Discord call. So that's a very common thing that young founders will have, because they sort of see this online culture of it's like work, 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 and they don't actually know what it is. And it took me a long time to realize what work was, and yeah, that is. I mean, essentially, work is just. It sounds so stupid, but work is productivity. Work is like doing something important. It's about being sharp and making good decisions. So I think that's really the misconception.
Perfect. What was harder, losing money or losing self belief?
Um, I don't think I've ever lost self belief. I think that uh, I've always just thought like, if I just push harder, it's going to work. And in terms of losing money, that used to be so bad for me. Like I would get really, really annoyed when I lost money. But now that I know what money is, it's like if I lose it, I don't really care. Like as long as it went for a good reason, like it bought some software, or if it just got stolen, then I'm like, okay, can I have it back? If not, it's not really the end of the world. I'll just look to replace it as soon as possible, and that's if I need it. Because if I don't need it, then I don't really care. Just to be honest. But yeah, sorry, I didn't even answer the question. Let me answer the question. What is harder to lose? Self belief is a lot harder to lose, but I haven't lost it. So
That's the same mindset of my. You
is
are
that same for you?
changing.
Yeah.
I was 18 when I start my social marketing agency, my social media market SMMA when I start.
Yeah.
And you talk about that before the contracts thing. So the first I took, because did not speak English that time, so I took local areas real estate marketing things, like digital marketing for local real estate agents. So
Yeah.
when I was doing that, so what happened, I didn't do the contracts because I don't learn too much about the SMMA. So I
Hmm.
don't did the contracts with the real estate agents. And I but I know the people not pay after delivering services. So everyone I told, I take 100% advance payment. So
Yeah.
what they did, okay, we will pay you advance after 15 days. Okay, you start the work, and after 15 days a month goes and he didn't pay, and after that I'm shut down that SMMA. And lot of clients are didn't pay, and thanks God I am not hiring any employee that time, because I have lot of work. I am going to lot of local businesses, so I got lot of clients, but some of them didn't pay me. So that
Hmm.
time I realized the contract thing is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I made a contract was for a cold email client, and it's because it was sort of quite a complex project. Um, but I actually had my uncle, so I was very fortunate. My uncle, he is the, I believe, managing director or CEO of a banking company. Well, it's not banking, sorry. It's specifically a gold sort of treasury company. It's like a whole thing. But anyway, he had legal professionals, and I was very lucky and fortunate because one of them, who was obviously a financial lawyer, was I was able to talk to, and he helped me write my first contract. So I was very thankful for that. Um, so the first contract I made was perfect. But yeah, but same with you. Before that, never made any contracts, and I actually almost always got paid. But sometimes they would try and negotiate things down after we had agreed on a price and I'd started work, and it was all a bit of a headache. And it would have been amazing to have a. I mean, I didn't even know what a contract was. Like I literally hadn't heard of it. So I'm sure I think that was the same for you as well. But it's very good that we're now both contractual.
Yeah. And that's the thing you tell before, the failure builds the man. If you told before, if your son grow ups, you also want him to do what we did, because
Yeah.
yeah. So that's the thing, we did mistake not making the contracts, or you did mistake not delivering your services properly first time. So we learn from it, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Definitely. Stop those mistakes from happening again.
Mm-hmm.
But what's amazing is, it doesn't really feel like you've learned. But then when you come in the next situation again, you're like, oh, I better not do that again. So it kind of comes back and it helps you without you really realizing it. It's just like trauma that just follows you. But it's good trauma.
Mm-hmm. When you failed in trading or dropshipping, did you blame the system or your own ignorance?
I don't think I blamed anyone. You know what I think happened is it didn't work and I kind of just switched tabs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, got it.
Like I was, one day I was obsessed over it. Next day, oh, it doesn't work. And I kind of just switched tabs. I didn't even like blame anything, anyone. I didn't think about it. It just exited my mind essentially. When I wrote that message to you to like provide context and stuff, I just remember like I was digging through. It took me a while to write that message because I was digging through files and stuff because I actually had to remember what I had done. Because for a lot of these things, I was just like, okay, didn't work, switch, didn't work, switch, didn't work, switch. There wasn't much analysis. There wasn't much like, oh, I wonder why it didn't work. It just didn't work in my head. So I
Mm-hmm.
just switched. But
Same thing
yeah,
I did. Just
yeah,
do not work, switch. Don't blame, not blaming anything.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What internal shift allowed you to take full responsibility?
Probably the fact that it actually matters now. Because when I was 13 years old, 14 years old, even 15 years old, I was very much, there was no expectation because I'm a kid. But now, because I'm 17 and people see me working out and, all this kind of stuff, I'm essentially like a man, right? So now it's like, okay, so what are you doing for work? So this was like the main thing. It's the social shift where it's, you now have to become more competent. You have to. There isn't a choice anymore. So yeah, that'll probably be it.
Perfect. What psychological traps keeps beginners stuck in cycle of starting over?
Um, Impatience,
Mm-hmm.
probably, because it's again like the obsession with money. You sort of have to obsess more over providing the best experience while being tactical and making sure you're charging what you're worth. So that would be it.
Perfect, man. Were you
Absolutely.
choosing skill acquisition or shortcuts?
Yeah, the start shortcuts. I didn't really care about learning. I was just like, yeah, let's just do this. Let's make some money. And it was very much like the perspective was just very impersonal, very no passion. It's like I don't want to do it. Okay, oh well, just do it. But now it's a lot more intentional. Um, I'm trying to specifically learn as much as possible. So yeah,
Perfect. How much did social media influence the business you choose?
yeah. At the beginning, a lot. It was like, so what would happen? I don't know if I mentioned in the message, but I actually did drop shipping multiple times. Um, Maybe I did. Let me see. No, I didn't mention. But I did do drop shipping and try and fail at drop shipping, I think about 3 times, because the first time it was like, oh, it's this new thing. Let's try it out. And then I moved on, just switched tabs. And then the second time was I saw some 14-year-old entrepreneur on Instagram saying, hey guys, look, I'm shipping out orders. Actually, he wasn't shipping out orders. He had Zendrop sorting out all the orders for him. He was showing his Shopify. Look at all these notifications, buy a new iPhone, all this bullshit. And saw that. So I started again. And then I really was, after that point, I said to myself, okay, I'm not going to do dropshipping again. I'm not going to do it. So I start working on a trading bot. I think at the time it was, or not a trading bot. I think it was before that. I start working on something else. And then eventually it sort of creeps in and we're thinking about, I have a friend as well. We're both scheming, making plans. It's like, okay, my friend said, oh, I think I'm going to try out dropshipping. Anyway, so he starts setting it up and he starts learning. We actually join the real world, the course. And I start like going through the courses there. And, I didn't commit to any of them, but I actually joined all of them. And there weren't very many because it was very early days. So there was a dropshipping course, there was a copywriting course, and there was, I think, 2 other courses. So I joined the copywriting one. I had mostly looked at the copywriting one. I realized I found that boring. So then I just went to the dropshipping one. I was looking through it, and my friend was getting hyped. He had set up a Shopify store. So I was getting a bit hyped. So I was like, oh yeah, let's look at this store. And then I ended up doing it again, and it obviously failed. So yeah, went through a lot of stuff because of social media being influenced and pushing me to different directions. That's the reason I started an SMMA as well. I didn't really start an SMMA. I thought about it and I started something a little bit different, but a lot of it was just like, what's the next big thing? And I was just following the hype machine and making influencers richer. So it wasn't very useful.
Perfect, man. Is trend chasing a form of intellectual laziness?
Yeah, absolutely. It can yield results, but typically there's someone smarter than you who's behind the wheel and is the one that wants you to chase the trend. So I would say, yeah, the best businesses are the ones that you actually see the problem yourself and you have a solution, you want to fix it. And I would say usually this is one thing that I was completely averse to doing, which is actually becoming familiar with the industry. So if you just trend chase, you're essentially entering an industry while it's in a high, and you know nothing about it. There have been experts that have been there for 10 years. So to expect to make more money than them, or to expect to make even any money, is pretty like naive. But certainly if you're the kind of person who's gonna, let's say you work in a company like a hospitality business, well then you would be the kind of person that 3 years down the line, or even a year down the line, is probably the kind of person that would be able to make some software to make their lives easier. It's not some random person who was like, oh, look at this new tool, we can make software for this random industry. It would be more so the person who knows the industry and then figures out how to use the tool and how to offer value to the people he already understands. So yeah, I'd say yeah, intellectual laziness. Yeah, that aligns with trend chasing
Perfect,
for
man.
sure.
Which camera do you use?
I am using a G7 Lumix.
Lumix.
Do you know the camera?
Hmm?
Do you know the camera?
Lumix. I know the company. I don't know the model.
Yeah, it's a video camera mostly. I used to do like cinematography and filmmaking and stuff like that.
How does it cost?
But I bought it probably around 4 or 5 years ago. I think it was like £600-700, probably around there. But I also got a bunch of other stuff. So I got a bunch of lenses, and do you know what a gimbal is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a DJI something or other, and it's been really good. I ended up getting a lot of stuff actually, like soft boxes and all sorts. I don't really use them anymore. I just for calls and stuff, I've got it wall mounted, and then I just use it's like a Govee light, which you see adjust there. But yeah. What about you? What's your setup? Yours looks nice as well.
After this podcast, I'm going to bought a new camera. So
Oh yeah,
now I have a DSLR Canon 1200D.
100D,
1200D. 12.
1200D.
Yeah. So it with kit lens, I bought it when I was 16 or 15 years old. I bought it
Yeah.
I bought it second hand, and now it's I think 10 years old camera. So
Damn.
yeah, I'm
It
going to
looks good
buy.
though.
Yeah, not that much. It's don't have the white balance. That's why it's not looking that much good. So
Yeah, I know
this
what you
camera
mean.
for
It has.
photography. So that's why the camera don't have that much video controls.
So is it also 8-bit color as well? Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm trying to buy Sony ZV-10 maybe.
That's a good camera.
Yeah, with the Sigma
Yeah.
16mm 1.4.
Oh, okay. Nice. Let me look at the lens. Nice. Yeah, that'll look really good. That'll look a lot nicer for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I researched about it. So yeah, it's perfect in budget.
Yeah. I was also thinking about a ZV-10 as well, or a ZV-10E was also what I was looking at. But yeah, are you into cameras very much? Have you done anything else other than podcasting?
Yeah, only for podcast and social media reels and just the social media stuff. So
Okay, mostly, yeah.
mostly.
All right, cool.
I bought this camera for my music videos. So that time
Oh,
I don't have that much knowledge about the cameras and all. So
Yeah.
one of my gym trainer, I go to gym that time also. So my gym trainer have this camera and he want to sell it. So I think I need a camera for music video. I can save some money of music video cost because I have camera. I can do myself. So that's why I bought it that time. And after that I shoot a lot of my videos, but now it's not getting that much good quality. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
upgrade. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. I think the ZV-10 will, especially with that lens, is gonna look a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better.
I research a lot about that. So which lens is
Yeah.
perfect for it and which camera is in my budget. So yeah, that's one is the perfect one. I'm thinking about the Sony A6700 for cinematic and all because it have 4K 60 fps. So but it's out of my budget.
Also
So
10-bit. It's also
yeah,
10-bit color as well,
yeah,
and it's got
also
good.
it's 10 bit and good
Yeah.
for color correction and all. But yeah, maybe I upgrade after a year or two. Yeah.
Upgrade to that. Yeah. I was thinking about the 6400.
6400 is similar to Z10, I think so. I compared both.
It is. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why I compared. Yeah.
Yeah. I compared
Yeah.
both, but Z10 win for my work, so I picked that.
Yeah. Agreed. I came to the same conclusion. So that's good. We both got the same answer.
But Z10 don't have the viewfinder, but I don't want viewfinder because I'm not using for photography and all. But a 64 you get viewfinder in that. So yeah.
Yeah. Well,
What is the hidden cost of pivoting too early?
well, what usually happens is when it comes to business, the longer you try something, the likelihood of it working actually increases. So you can have 0 results on day 1. You can have 0 results on day 30. You can have 0 results on day 60. On day 62, you are going to get results. But if you just quit at day 59 and you're 3 days away from some big thing that could have changed everything, you would have never known. So I would say it's definitely just missing opportunities that would have come to you. Because ultimately speaking, if you're doing something that is proven to work, this is something I've realized. Everything I've done was proven to work, but it just didn't work because I kept pivoting. So if you do something that's proven to work and you stick at it, it's just going to be the case that it's very, very hard for you. Like it's actually impossible, I would say, to not make money with it. So,
Which failure was actually necessary for your growth?
all of them. Probably the earlier ones were less important, but the ones that were more recent were a lot more important. I mean, they're all important in their own regard because you can see them you can like look back in the memories and like, oh shit, that was ages ago. But the thing is that when you've been absolutely convinced about something working and you've told everyone about it and how it's gonna work, and then it doesn't, yeah, it's very dehumanizing. But it's more detrimental when you do that when you're older. If you do that when you're a kid, it's like, who cares? You know, kids chat a bunch of crap all the time. But if you have someone who's, say, 17 or 16 even, and they start, saying, yeah, this is the way, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to do this, I want to do this with my life, blah, blah, blah. And then they don't do it or it doesn't work. Well, then you're almost an adult and you just can't be trusted. Like if you're going around in the world just saying that you're going to do things that you don't do, it's like, it's not good. So, yeah, that would be my answer.
Did you ever mistake
Complexity.
complexity from sophistication?
Complexity.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I did because I'm thinking back to some projects I've built, I've coded, and certainly some of them were very complex, but they weren't sophisticated in the sense they weren't efficient. Because I don't know, I personally define sophisticated as very coordinated and it's like efficient. Whereas complex can be anything from, maybe a watch, which I would say is also sophisticated, but it could also be like a really messy drawing is also complex. Like if I told you to sit there and put your finger on the line and keep it there and like go around the whole spiral, it'd be pretty difficult. But that doesn't mean that is complex. That's a complex thing, but it doesn't mean that it's sophisticated. It's not sophisticated. It's waste of your time to even look at it. I don't think there's a hidden meaning behind it. So, certainly for me and my failures, I've mistook complex things for sophisticated things for sure. Yeah, it's quite common.
Perfect. Why do beginners try to scale before understanding cash flow?
Because they want money. They're impatient. Yeah, I'd say that's it.
What makes someone vulnerable to hype cycles?
What mistakes make someone vulnerable to hype cycles?
Hmm.
Okay, okay. Um, Spending too much time on social media, one of the main ones. That's how usually, you're gonna get stuck in a hype cycle, either through an influencer or through an ad campaign, which you can only find when you try and watch influencers, through like YouTube or whatever. And then another thing is being weak as well. So personally, I think that if you if you aren't mentally strong to some degree, as in if you don't partake in regular physical activity, and that's one way to build mental toughness. So regular physical activity, or it could be just doing a really complex project or learning a language. If you're not used to being in constant discomfort, then when you get placed with comfortable opportunities, you're okay with choosing the uncomfortable option, which is to continue with your, you know, your slop over going to a hypey, shiny looking thing that would catch you usually if you weren't capable of saying no, essentially.
Yeah. If a teenager asks you what to start today, what would you warn them about first?
Um, I would probably make sure I get on a call with them first of all, and I would make sure to sort of just like assess their situation, what they're doing with their time, because the number one thing, there are so many things that are important, but the number one thing is that you're not spending time doing useless things. If you have the time to um, like go out every weekend, you're not spending your time right, I don't think, because it's not just the going out that's bad. You're like, oh, it's only 2 days, it's only 4 hours, whatever. But what's bad is it's like it's a disease, because what's going to happen is midway through Wednesday at 12 p.m., you're going to be thinking, oh man, I'm stuck in work. I wish I could go out right now. So what's going to happen is it's going to train you to just like want to wait and seek that reward. And you'll end up using these things to vent to, which can be quite dangerous, because you may end up that, this is at least in my experience, it sort of strips the passion from your work, because you stop looking forward to your work and instead you look forward to fun things. So definitely, as sort of boring as it sounds, I would say the first thing to do is to just stop talking to as many people. And it doesn't sound very pleasant, obviously, and that's usually not good advice if you're not going to take it serious. But I would say first thing is just stop talking to unproductive people that cause you to just do nothing, and start either surrounding yourself with people that can positively push you, or simply just become okay with being alone and just working on things by yourself and being able to get on and just do stuff. Because if you can't do that and you have an inability to, sit in a quiet room, then anything else after that is actually impossible. And the layers after that, the other vulnerabilities or the other things I would warn them about would be probably be careful with women as well. They can strip your ambition. And then the next thing would be, after that layer, after the personal stuff, now it's all to do with productivity. So now it's like, how are you organizing your tabs? I'm not so good at organizing my tabs. I got to fix that. I'll be honest. But then the next one's like, how are you organizing your tabs? How do you manage answering your emails? Like, what are you posting? So then it becomes more specific to the actual business itself that you're running. But definitely the first thing that I would say and make sure to warn a teenager of who would ask me that kind of question is, make sure your personal affairs are in check. Otherwise, everything else after that is impossible. So,
Perfect. I agree with that. I also think like that. If you said first, if you like to go every weekends out, I think I don't think like that. Like I don't go out on weekends. I don't have friends. I'm working 16, 17 years here. So if you have that much big goals, you don't think about those things. I think so the mindset will be like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Oh, like I can't agree with you more, because if you actually care what you're doing about what you're doing and you're passionate about it, that is actually all you want to do.
Yeah, we
So
we love to do what we do, so we are not burnouting too much of working 15 hours a day, right? We are not thinking about,
yeah, yeah,
oh,
exactly.
when my work is done and I am go out. We don't think about that. We think, when my work is done, I need to work more for the next thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. For me, actually, it's slightly different. I'm not actually really thinking about the hours,
Mm-hmm.
and neither am I really thinking about the concept of work either. I'm just doing what I want to do, which is also happens to be what I need to do. So that's at least for me. But I agree.
Yeah. What foundational knowledge were you are missing in the beginning?
So yeah, a lot of stuff to do with, as I covered, to do with contracts, contractual law, standard business affairs. I didn't know what. I didn't know what. I didn't even really understand what taxes were, or when they happened, or how you paid them, if you do. And then I also didn't know anything about like communication either. So I remember I looked back on a screenshot of a conversation I had with my first ever client, and this was back in like 2024, 3, I don't know, around then, 2023. And I remember I saw some screenshots of the conversation I had, and I was like actually an idiot. Like I was talking to them like they owed me something, and in the end, like they didn't at the point at that time. But I remember I had made a website for them, and I had built the website for them, and they were negotiating the price, and they were saying, "Oh, I don't want to pay you 20 a month for hosting," and I was letting that irritate me. I was like, I remember saying something along the lines of, "How could you not want to pay 20 a month? It's like I told you about this and blah blah." Just emotional. You like that is the worst thing you could possibly do. You become very unhelpful as a person. So yeah, certainly now, if a client is being annoying, it doesn't annoy me. I'm sort of like, okay, interesting. What would be the best response so that they do what I want them to do? It's not like I don't care. It's not an argument. I don't really care about their opinion necessarily. I'm just trying to provide the service, do a good job, and get paid. It's less about the semantics of, oh, I'm not going to get annoyed is the point. So yeah.
Yeah, got it. How do you define business fundamentals today?
Uh, it's difficult because I think the world is changing a lot. But it's just about, okay, this sounds super, you hear this all the time, but it's mostly about providing value. But not on the surface level, more in the sense that you are actually trying to find a problem in their life that is really annoying them. If you think about how problems work, let's say I couldn't turn off my light switch because of some electrical trip. Well, then I would need an electrician. So the very fact that an electrician exists is because you have complex systems in people's houses that they don't know how to fix. So you have to find problems within people's lives that piss them off enough that they're going to pay you because they can't be bothered to figure it out. Because the perceived like complexity or the sophistication of the problem is more than they would deem worth them using their time to fix it. So if you think of, there are probably lots of services that you as a client, a consumer, could figure out yourself. If you really wanted to, you could figure out how to make an iPhone, right? You wouldn't need to buy an iPhone. You could figure it out if you really wanted to. But the convenience of them making it for you and you but just having to shut your eyes and just buy it is so much higher. And it was obviously, in this example, fixes a lot of issues. But that's the fundamental of business. I would say find a problem that's inconvenient for people and find a problem that's really annoying and then fix it and then charge them. That's the fundamental.
Perfect. Why do most young founders avoid learning accounting and economics?
Uh, some of it could be down to there's a bit of, at least for what I've experienced, there's a bit of baggage attached to that. When I think of an accountant, I think of like Susan on like level 3 of the giant corporate building. I don't know about you, but I think of accounting as very generic, um, but it's certainly something that's worth learning. And then economics wise, it's just like I think a lot of people's experience with a lot of topics like history as well, especially, it's really boring in school. Like they don't make it interesting. Even if they try and make it interesting, it still looks desperate and it's not interesting. So generally speaking, I think the reason why young people and young founders are not learning about economics and accounting is because they see it as super uninteresting and super boring because they don't see the utility in it. If in history they explained how, oh, by the way, if we study these ancient leaders, we can understand the fundamental principles of leadership and the fundamentals of how you can become a better leader, that's way more interesting than just saying, all right, guys, so this is Alexander the Great. He did this, he did that. That's literally boring. That's actually boring. It's about extracting the principles and understanding why you're learning the things you are. So I think that's probably the problem. People have been exposed to these topics within school or some kind of educational bureaucratic system, and now they just don't want to learn it. They just hate it. They don't really know why. They make up excuses and they never figure it out. That's why I'd say.
Perfect. So I have a question. Like when you realize the that you said 13 years old, 14 years old dropshipper doing the millions and doing the orders. When you realize they are doing the scam.
Uh, Usually when I realized that they also didn't know what taxes were. When I realized that a lot of things they were, I've actually revisited a few of these profiles, and quite a lot of the things they're saying don't make any sense. Like I'm thinking like that is actually brain dead. But there's definitely been like a whole craze of uh, of people who are like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, bro. And I was certainly like that as well for a short period of time. So yeah, the point that I realized that it was a scam was roughly around the same point that I realized that I was also deluded and not making much sense. So that would be when. But it's not all a scam. Like some of them are making. I'm not saying they're not
Yeah,
making
yeah.
money. I'm sure a lot of them are making money,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But some
but
of
it's not
them.
transparent.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not transparent. So there's a lot of details not being told. They might show their revenue, but not their profits. Like lots of things. So yeah.
Yeah, got it. When I realized now, when I was 19 years old, and
Mm.
my first time my SMMA was failed. I talked before. So as at 18, and when I was 19, I'm trying to like learn as much as I can about the SMMA. So I'm looking Iman Ghazis and all the social media influencers who talk about the SMMN and all. Then I got once in a Indian guy who is selling course like Iman Ghazis and all. So I'm thinking like I get a mentor to guide me and all for those, and he have the two sports cars and all. He's like showing up, oh, you can buy this and all. And that time I'm so stupid, I bought that course for $600, and I bought that money from my parents that time because I'm doing the music shit. So I spend my all money on music, so I don't have money to buy the course, but I get from my mother, and I bought that course. And after some time I realized he did not make money from SMM. He make money from his course, and he's just buying things and just show people and just selling his course, and that called the digital product business. after that I realized that, oh man, shit, I did
Yeah,
a mistake.
absolutely. And a lot of what they are doing is they're just trying to get enough proof so that they can then sell your course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think about course selling
I
in general?
think I think I think in general some of the course are good, but lot of them are just selling digital products that not valuable. Just like I bought the $600 course, and it's a lot of money for us because we are we are we are from a very poor family like me. So the $600 is lot of money for me. Like my dad need to work 4 or 5 months to get that. So it's a lot of money for me that time. So I'm like, so yeah,
Yeah.
some of them are good, I think so. I After that I never bought any course, but I think
Mm.
so because lot of people talk on podcast, because I watch lot of podcast internationally. So some of them talk about the some of course is good, and lot of like 98% are the just selling the digital products and all. And my course is so horrible, like it's just a Zoom call recordings, not any information. It's like, I think why I bought this course, like, and thousands of people bought that course for $600. I'm
Your
like,
cousins.
no, 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 thousands of people bought that course that I bought.
Oh, thousands. Sorry. I
Thousands.
thought you said cousins.
No, no,
Cousins.
no, not
You said
cousins.
thousands.
Yeah, yeah.
Thousands. Gotcha.
Thousands of people bought, and I calculate the revenue of that. Like, oh, $600, thousand people bought. That's why he have two cars and one good house. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Exactly.
What do you
That's
think
funny.
about courses?
I I I don't mind them. Like, I'll be honest, I actually made a course at one point because, I was just trying. I actually forgot to write that down. But I was just trying anything that would make money at one point. But generally speaking, my perspective on them is there's a lot of useless information out there. There's lots of people like what I was doing who, if you bought their course and you went through it and you would finish it, be like, oh, pretty good course. However, all the information, if they didn't realize, was probably from ChatGPT, or it was, some kind of stuff that was just not really spoken from experience, or it was just mashed up clips of stuff that was for free online. So certainly, if you've got YouTube taught people selling you courses, you can just find their knowledge on YouTube. So, there are entire channels and courses built around like books, but you could just read the book. So, in a lot of cases, I think it's a complete waste of money, a complete waste of time. This doesn't even save you time because usually the courses take forever to complete. However, there are situations where you have people who are actually really cool, who, if they released a course, it's like, okay, this is going to be really good. So if you think like, if Elon Musk made a course on investing, right?
Bought it first.
We're buying it because we know
Yeah.
that shit's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But
100%.
if some random dude on school.com made a course on investing, you're like, oh, it could be good. It probably will be, but it'll probably be pretty generic because they're probably not an investor. And if they are an investor, they're going to use the money from their course to invest. So, yeah, that's my perspective on courses. But I was interested in yours because you mentioned it, and you had that experience, which was not so great.
So horrible. Not great.
No, that was bad. 600.
Yeah. How dangerous is building without understanding contracts and legal basics?
So, yeah, you can get away with it. I know some people who literally hadn't registered themselves as a sole trader or anything, and they were making 20,000 a month, right? They didn't do any contracts. They didn't do any registering, no taxes. But they didn't really know what they were doing.
But
to
the
be fair.
transaction going on What about that?
Oh yeah, no, of course they've registered and everything, contracts, whatever. But it's dangerous, as in don't do it, and try and not do it. But it's not the end of the world because you'll be risking yourself really, because you may have clients that are going to just turn around and say, oh, actually no, and that's just really annoying. But if you've got someone trustworthy who's like a family friend or you know them, it can just be a handshake. Like I remember hearing, there's some people who exclusively don't use contracts and they just rely specifically on like handshakes and all that kind of stuff, which is honorable. But if you've got non-honorable people, which can happen a lot, then the contracts are definitely very useful, and they're very it's like a safeguard. But it does depend on what industry you're in. If you're in like if you're selling toothbrushes, I'd say the contracts probably aren't so pivotal. I mean, definitely do them because it's going to be compliance and that kind of stuff. But if you're selling car tires, contracts are very, very important, because if your tire falls apart and you don't have an explanation for it or legal backing, you're going to get shut down. So it just depends on the business. But the overall advice is get contracts for sure. Don't mess around. Really.
Perfect. What was the first foundational concept that completely changed your thinking?
Yeah, that would be when I realized that money wasn't based on anything like modern money. That would be it. Because before that, I valued money a lot. And after understanding that, I was like, hold up a second. Money isn't actually anything. We're essentially trading nothing. So yeah, it's very useful to have a lot of it so that you can buy assets, so that you can hold real value. But when it comes to day-to-day function, it shouldn't be something that impairs your ability to live. It should be the byproducts of your work. But that was the fundamental idea that shifted how I thought, for sure.
Perfect, man. When did you realize you were building skyscraper, not sand?
Yeah, that would have to be probably again around a year ago, because now my perspective has changed, which is I'm a lot less interested in quick money, and I'm more interested in building something that actually matters and something that's actually useful to people. So yeah, I'm working a lot on various projects, and they're all quite ambitious. So yeah, about a year ago.
Perfect. Is ignorance more expensive than failure?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because the thing is with ignorance is that you will, if you don't fail, if it doesn't fail then when it should have failed and you somehow get away with it, then that ignorance is going to be a really bad habit that's going to come back and maybe end everything for you when it does eventually, when you're not so lucky. So it's like you need to make sure you take a lot of notice to the warning signs, because if you think about this, if you're driving along a road and you almost, fall off the mountain and die, well, you didn't, because failure would be falling off the mountain and dying. But now what you should do is you shouldn't keep driving fast and think that you got lucky. You should slow down and make sure not to test your luck again. That's where I would say ignorance is most dangerous, because it will cause you to harming yourself, ultimately harm yourself in the future.
Perfect. How do you know when to build versus when to study?
So I would say usually throughout the day, I'm just building all day. And then at the end of the day, I will... Well, actually, no, that's not really true. I was about to say that at the end of the day, I usually study, and it's like my wind down routine where I do research on my phone while I'm in bed or something. But I will admit that like today, for example, we have been doing quite a bit of market research, and that was almost like studying over building. But generally speaking, what happens is when I'm on my computer, I work. When I'm on my phone, I study. So that's like the flow.
Perfect. Do you think most beginners founders are overconfident or undereducated?
Yeah, almost all of them, including myself as well. Right now, absolutely. Like, just always assume that you're overconfident because usually you haven't perceived the errors that are coming your way. There are going to be lots of problems. If it were easy, anyone would do it. So there's going to be there's loads of problems. It's inevitable.
Perfect.
And you never know any, like, there's always more you can learn. So you can never know enough, really.
What specific basics should every 18 to 25 years old founder master before starting?
Their time, like obligations, making sure that people understand that they want to do stuff with their life and not just sit around.
Why did you decide to pause building and start studying financial history?
Because I was feeling very lost and I didn't have much purpose because I didn't understand why I was doing anything.
So, what you are working on right now?
I'm working on an AI startup. It's called Alphred and it's an AI assistant.
Like an AI agent.
Yeah, so it's got AI agents and then it's also a voice agent as well. So the main differentiating factor is it's just advanced voice controlling agents. But it's a desktop app. And we're also today, we're exploring a lot into making it physical products. Think like a completely local version of like Alexa or Google for privacy focused reasons. Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
So, which problem your AI solve?
So the desktop application is mostly for creative and no, sorry, not creative. Creative too, but mostly for agency owners, founders. I feel like I understand them the best because I've started 3 agencies and I was running one for it's decent amount of time. So I have a lot of friends who are in the agency space, and it's it's able to create PDFs, slideshows. Think of everything. Have you used Manus before?
Which?
Manus?
No, I heard first time.
Have you used Minimax 2.5?
What those are? No, I don't.
No. Okay, I'll try and think of one.
Those are platforms to build AI agents.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So
I
it's
know Make.com. I know N10. I know Zipper. Yeah, I know those.
mhm. Yeah. So it's gonna have. Okay, are you talking about agents within NA10, for example? Oh, okay, okay. So it's yeah, you can think of it like that. I mean, it will have the same functionalities, but obviously the agents are like built into the software already. But the user will have the ability to create new agents just by using natural language. So they won't have to set up a workflow in NA10 or Make. They can just describe what they want it to do, and it will go ahead and it will find all of the information data and it will essentially train itself. And then it will be an agent that can be used in any workflow, in any conversation, any point. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was making it really technical. I've got to simplify it. I'm not used to that yet.
No, I got it.
But
I got it.
yeah,
So,
I think it'd be really cool.
yeah. I
Go
so
on.
so you are not using the third party platforms like N10 and Make.com, right? You are hosting
No,
self.
yeah, but we'll probably integrate those anyway because I don't see why not. There actually is a very easy way already that you can talk to the AI to integrate your NA10 workflows. So if you've worked with NA10, there's webhooks, and all you have to do is just send the AI the webhook, and it'll be able to call that tool and trigger NA10 workflows very, very simply.
So
Yeah.
I have a question. Like
Mhm.
why you choose the self hosting instead of the N10 and Make?
It's mostly for production readiness because to offer a service that leans on a third-party software like Make.com or N810, I think is a bit unprofessional. But we have obviously the integration with those companies too.
Like for third party hosting we have N10 and Make. So for self hosting, which platforms we have?
Make. I mean, any software that actually has webhooks, it can immediately integrate with really easily. So I'd say Make, Zapier, N8N, and they're the mainstream ones, but I'm sure there's a few others that would be compatible with. But the thing is with the self-hosting is that it's very adaptable. So when it comes to adding services and like integrations, like I said, I mean, you can literally make one by just messaging it. You can say, hey, make this, and it'll do it. But like I had it the other day, I had it create me a tool to get the price of Bitcoin, because, you know, if you want to reliably get the price, then you usually have to go to a website like TradingView to get the accurate price. So I asked it, I need an accurate way to get the price of Bitcoin. And I went ahead and it actually found a company that has a Bitcoin API or a crypto API. It made an API key in my name. And then it took that API key and it set itself up properly. And so it could actually call that API at any point within the conversation to obviously provide me that accurate information, which I know, I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's in super early stages. Like, it's something that I'm working on like 10 hours a day, and you know, things change every week. So yeah,
So yeah.
it's kind of the stage I'm at.
So I want to know which platform you use for your agents. Like you said you are self-hosted, but which platform you use for hosting those?
Yeah, sure. So I use, for all of the database and the information syncing, we use Supabase. For the hosting of code that it generates and things like that, we use a company called E2B. So they're a company that allows you to run Linux environments in Linux terminals, and also agents within controlled sandboxes. They have access to computer functions and all that kind of stuff. But if you look up Manus, I mentioned it earlier, you should take a look into it, because they've already kind of built this out, and it has an agent which has access to this same web environment. It's probably, if you look at that, you can understand what I'm building, because they're very similar in their current phase, in their current stages. So yeah, that's kind of how we're hosting them. And then other than that, we have a lot of functions in the front end. So there's a lot of stuff that's written into the front end that handles quite a lot of logic, or Strava scripts, actually. That's the main function language I'm using. But yeah, that's how it's hosted.
Perfect. Next is my favorite question. What was
Yeah.
the most amount of money you made in a single year?
In a single year. It hasn't been a year since I've been making money. Like, it's been the case where this year started off good, where we had a client that was meant to go through for $8,000, and it's like right now. So the main way that I'm making money is not through the AI agents and the stuff that I want to make money through, but instead it's through a design agency. So if you saw on my LinkedIn, what you would have seen is not anything to do with AI agents and all this kind of stuff, which is maybe why it was confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But instead it would have been to do with a design agency.
What you provide designing?
Yeah, sure. I'll screen share. So just make this a bit smaller. So on here, you can see it says Lumen. And what Lumen is it's a design agency, and we specifically make web applications, we make websites, we make mobile apps too. And you can see this is a portfolio website here. So Alphred is actually on here, but this is like an older version. We have some real estate software we made for a real estate company, which is like management software. I don't even know if I have an account anymore. Oh, I do. It's like a, CRM dashboard, contract signing, all that kind of stuff. And this is for an old business. This was the agency I was talking about a bit earlier. And then we have some other stuff like networking websites. This is for another real estate company as well. This is for a real estate company in, what's it called? Portugal. And this was made very quickly. This was like a demo sort of test
Like
thing. I
which
don't know why
which platform you use for building these websites?
this one was made with a tool called Base 44. You can actually see there's a watermark here. I don't know if you've used Base 44. There's
No.
lots of ads going out right now.
I used before WordPress and Wix no code tools because I don't know coding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, we use Base 44 for quite a few of these. We use Framer for a few of these. But this is a business partner. But yeah, the main differentiating factor with this agency or this web design agency, we're also making apps as well, which is we deliver in like 2 to 5 days. So we are very fast. But yeah, that's how I'm making money mostly. So this is like what's making money. And then the money from that is going into fund the AI agents in the desktop app,
Gotcha.
which is actually open right here. But sorry, I've got a bit of a thing in my throat. But yeah.
So my last 2 questions. What is the best advice you ever heard or received?
The world is hyper competitive because I previously had an attitude which was a little bit nihilistic and very entitled actually. Now that I look back on it and I understand how the world kind of works a bit more now, very entitled and very so it's not very, but nihilistic. And certainly now, after receiving that advice, whenever I am sparring or whenever I'm like fighting or getting beaten up or I'm working out or I'm doing something hard, what comes to my mind is there's somebody else out there who did the same thing as you and then they quit before you. So every second that I keep going after the one that I don't want to continue is essentially me like, okay, that's another competitor I just beat. That's another competitor I just beat. That's another one. So the advice of the world is hyper competitive, it sounds dramatic and it sounds, it's like, it depends what version of reality you're in. Because nowadays the world is so split up, you can be in 2 completely different realities. You can have one reality where you're like all optimistic. There are people out there, somehow, who don't have a care in the world, don't have a stress in the world. They get by fine and they're happy. Then there are people out there who are stressed, so stressed, they're working for 20 hours a day and they're like building rockets or something, right? But then there are also people out there who don't really have any ambition and they're just depressed. So it's like in my version of reality, hearing this phrase of, the world is hyper competitive, what I start to realize is I'm not really competing with the majority of people. Obviously, it's all a resource game, but the people I want to compete with are the people that are doing a lot of really cool stuff. So it's like I'm segmenting my world and I'm specifically focusing on one that is hyper competitive. So when I say that the world is hyper competitive, I don't really mean the whole world's hyper competitive. There are a lot of lethargic people out there. And there is a way to just, get by life doing nothing. But the people that I want to be around and the spaces that I want to be in are hyper competitive. And that's why it's the best advice, because I think the hyper competitive spaces are the best spaces to be in. It's where all the stuff happens. It's where it's interesting. It's where all the women are. But that is probably the best advice that I've received.
Perfect. What is the worst advice you ever heard or received?
Okay. You're fine how you are. I remember when I was 13 years old and I looked in the mirror one day and I realized I was quite skinny. Now, I've always had a six pack because I used to be a gymnast when I was a kid. But around this 13 age, I was, growing a lot and I was like lanky and whatever. So I looked at myself in the mirror once and I realized I was skinny. So as usual, when I'm not sure about something, what I would do is I would talk to my friends about it. One of my friends was a Roblox addict, right? And no offense to them, but they they were not disciplined and they didn't have much going for them. And they were actually, I think they were depressed at one point, or around this point or something. And I just remember they said to me, "You're absolutely fine the way you are." Like they said something along those lines of like, "Oh, you're fine. You're good. You've got a good physique. You're absolutely perfect," right? Because he was worse, right? He was fat. Like, no offense to him, but he was obese. I'm like, oh yeah, I suppose he said that. I'll just take that advice. I took that advice and I followed that advice for 2 years. After 2 years, I looked at myself in the mirror again after I'd gotten more taller and more lanky. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, this is bad. And instead of talking to anyone, I just fixed it. I went into that period I was talking to you about earlier, when you realize that you're actually the problem, that you've got nothing else but to do than to fix it. There's no point in complaining because it's not going to fix it. That's how bad it is. It needs to get fixed. So I had a period of time where I was going to the gym twice a day, once at like 6 a.m. before school, and again after school had finished. And then I was doing that 5-6 times a week. And what's that, like 12 workouts a week? That's crazy. Eating loads of food. And I made progress really quickly. And then after I had sort of like made that progress, people started realizing, oh, what happened? And I was very happy about that because it's like, it's kind of come full circle now, because after I got that original interest from people, everyone's like, oh, look at Nelson, he's ripped now. What I realize is actually what other people say is useful to some extent, because it can be good for, like, it can be good to know how you come across. But honestly, when it comes to your life decisions, just be really careful. Only take advice from people that you actually trust and people who have something that you don't have. If they're worse than you, the only thing they're going to do is try and make themselves feel better. Like if they have a worse physique than you, or if they have less money than you, they don't want you to make more money, because then they're more incompetent compared to you. So it's like there are some people who just don't want you to do well, and you need to make sure you stay away from them. And that was the worst advice I'd ever received, easily.
Perfect, man. So, Neslon, thank you for coming on our podcast today, giving your valuable time.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you for having me. It was a very good experience.
Perfect.